The economic rebound is still waiting for workers. Despite school reopenings and the end of some federal aid, many people are in no rush to land a job. Savings and health concerns are playing a role. There was one particular story I wanted to point out from this, I think this was a New York Times article, where it was talking about a lady who decided that she really didn't want to go back to the way things were pre-pandemic for herself. So she took the initiative. Here you go. So Rachel Eager uh, spent last fall at home taking the last class for her bachelor's degree over Zoom while waiting to be recalled to her job at a New York City after school program. That call never came. So Miss Eager, 25, is looking for work. She has applied for dozens of jobs and had a handful of interviews so far without luck. But she is taking her time. Ms. Eager says she's still worried about catching COVID 19. She would prefer to work remotely. And if she does end up taking an in person job, she wants it to be worth the risk. And she doesn't want another job with low pay, little flexibility, and no benefits. The quote here said, many people are realizing that the ways things were pre-pandemic were not sustainable and not benefiting them. She has been applying for jobs in data analysis and nonprofit management and other fields that would offer better pay, benefits, and a sense of purpose. Miss Eager, who is vaccinated, said that she has had always been careful with money and that she built savings this year by staying home, socking away unemployment benefits, and other aid. My financial situation is okay. And I think that is 99% of the reason that I can be choosy about my job prospects. According to this, Americans have saved trillions of dollars since the pandemic began. Much of that wealth is concentrated among high earners who mostly kept their jobs, reduced spending on dining and vacations, and benefited from soaring stock market. But many lower income Americans, too, were able to set aside money thanks to the government's multi-trillion-dollar response to the pandemic, which included not only direct cash assistance, but also increased food aid, forbearance for all mortgages and student loans, and an eviction moratorium, all of which play a role into why it's a this is a real problem. This is a problem for employers to get people back. Is because people did sock that money away. They couldn't necessarily go out depending on where they lived in, and the mortgage forbearance helped save like thousands and thousands of dollars a month per person, right? So, or per family, depending on how where you're at. So it's one of those things where you just have to really think about where you are, where you want to be, and if you're financially okay and not at a too high of a burn rate of money month over or week over week, month over month, and are able to do it. Now, I talk about this all the time with in regards to entrepreneurs that want to start their own business and and leave their 9 to 5 or leave whatever financial backing situation they're in. And it's one of those things that you have to be able to create a runway for yourself, and that runway might need to be 1 to 2, 3 years. So that's a lot of money that you might need, right? But it's also maybe not a ton of money that you need. The money that you need can be reduced by reducing credit cards expenditures. I don't necessarily agree with the idea that, like, hey, you want to be a millionaire, cut out the Starbucks coffee or whatever. Like, we also want to live a life, so there's a balance. Maybe getting the $6 drink every single day, 5 days a week isn't necessarily the answer. Maybe getting it 3 times a week is the answer. I'm not here to tell you one way or the other. You got to figure out what works for you, because if you're unhappy, it ain't going to make a difference. You're not going to be very happy in pursuing what you're going for. So you got to make that decision yourself. Now, with that said, I did want to talk about this real quick, adding this video, and I will link this down below. The real reason the economy might collapse by Robert Reich. I assume that's how you say his his name. Really good video. If you haven't watched it yet, you absolutely should. It talks about how the economy has become unsustainable because like the top 1% have like 90% of the finances in their control, which is not good. It becomes unsustainable. And the last time that happened, it was the Great Depression, or led right before the Great Depression. So, um, it's one of the things that's like we need to find ways to get the balance of power back so that there's at least some give and take between the top 1% and the rest of society, the rest of the world, really. So, well, I'm not anti millionaire, billionaire. What I am is I'm pro people. And I want, in order for people to be able to sustain any kind of life that enables even the millionaires and the billionaires to be able to sustain their kind of life, it requires everybody to be able to play the game of not monopoly economy. And this is why it's so important that when we talk about the lowest end income earners, that we help support them in a way that enables them to be able to go and buy. I mean, he's a bad example, but a good example. For Henry Ford, right? Like, oh, why do we have the 5-day work week? Well, Henry Ford gave people off on Saturday. Why? Because on Sunday they had to go to church. They didn't have time to go to the car dealership and buy one of his cars. Well, if they can't go buy a car and they don't make enough money to buy a car, how's he going to afford to be able to produce the car? There's only so many millionaires and billionaires in the world, and they can only buy so many things, as this video points out. Like, hey, people can only buy so many pairs of jeans, like, realistically, right? So many haircuts a year, so many this and that, like thing. There's only so many things that those high end income earners can buy per year. So the money has to be filtered somehow, some way back down to the lowest, so that the majority of people can spend the money, so that the businesses can earn more revenue. And yeah. So again, go check out the real reason the economy might collapse. I will maybe I'll link it over here on this side of the video for you to go watch, and it'll be linked down in the description as well.